Hello everybody, Sasha here for Orchestral Tools. This is the first video walkthrough of Berlin Percussion. I want to show you all the different instruments that are in this library and want to talk about the ideas and concepts and features that went into it. So Orchestral Tools went again to the Teldec scoring stage in Berlin to record a percussion library which basically wants to offer you a full palette of classical orchestral percussion. So we have drums in here, bass drums, snare drums, concert toms, rototoms, etc. We have all the standard mallets sampled, a lot of cymbals, piatti, tam-tams, and so on. The only main orchestral percussion instrument that is missing in this package is the timpani, which Orchestral Tools already released a couple of years ago and is now serving as an expansion to the main library and will also be updated to the Neo Capsule engine with all its great features. So basically there are three main goals or ideas behind this library. The first one is variety and flexibility in instruments and colors and articulations. The second one is consistency amongst all the instruments as far as possible or meaningful. And the third one is the best possible out-of-the-box sound and also tweakability of this sound. So we have, as you can see here, a multitude of microphone positions, which we get into a little bit later in the video. And without wanting to spoil anything, I can already tell you that those instruments sound pretty enormous and delicate at the same time. So let's start right in with the drums. First we have a set of different bass drums here in 4 different sizes. As you can see, we always have a singles and rolls and dynamics patch here. As you can see, they are mapped in a way which allows you to use one MIDI channel for both patches. There are some technical reasons why there have to be 2 patches instead of 1, but you can load them at the same time and put them on the same MIDI channel and there will be no problem. And with the great default save and load feature, you can also quickly share microphone setups and everything else you are going to set in the capsule between the patches. So before talking too much, let's listen to all the 4 bass drums in a row. So I will play back a little MIDI part for you. The MIDI part, which was played back here, by the way, was the same for every drum. So the mapping, as you can also see when I click through those patches here, is always the same. For example, single hits are always on C2, and that's for most of the instruments in Berlin Percussion. Only for some special cases like the congas, this had to be adjusted a little bit. But yes, always C2, and if there's a left and right hand sample, we also have D2 available. At the same time, the rolls are always 1 octave above here in the yellow keys, and then special articulations are often below C2. So here we have, for example, the bass drum played with a Rute, as we call in Germany, basically a bunch of wooden sticks glued together. And here on F we have the muted or damped hits. Above the rolls is sforzando. And then we have double, triple and quadruple upbeats. Also recorded in multiple dynamics and round robins. The rolls and the second one is with an accent at the end of the roll when you release the key. So for the dynamics we have crescendos mapped up here, decrescendos here, and swells or crescendos, decrescendos up there. They are also recorded with multiple dynamics, which you can either fade with the mod wheel or with one click here in the capsule switch to velocity. So for example, let me play a short crescendo with a quiet dynamic. And now loud. So those are the decrescendos. And a middle long swell. So this is basically the articulation set of all the drums. Of course, for snare drums we have both hand sam, but then we also have rim shots and stuff. But those dynamics, crescendos, decrescendos and swells, and the single hits and rolls with the upbeats are consistently mapped and of course recorded for all drums. Now let's move on to the snare drums. As you can see, we have quite a bunch of instruments here in this folder. I would like to start with the Majestic Pro 14-inch snare. This is a drum with 4 individual snares which can be turned on and off separately, as you can see in this little video snippet. So for the library, 4 different useful configurations have been chosen to give you some variety with this instrument. The first one is the basic configuration. You can see in the mapping here we have left and right hits, rim shots here. Then this is ricochet. Then we have 4 different kinds of rolls here. The first one is the standard roll. Very, very dynamic. And by the way, all those snare drums, especially the snare drums, but also every other drum, was recorded in the full dynamic range as it is used by orchestral players. So the snare drums begin really, really quiet. And become really loud at the same time. So beside this standard roll here, we have the same roll with an accent at the end. And then for all the drums which uses 2 sticks, so all the snares, toms, rototoms and so on, also the double stroke roll technique was recorded. Again, with and without accent. So the difference basically is this. This is the usual roll and that's the double stroke. So quite useful to have both options here. And on G we then have the sforzato or fortepiano, also in different velocity layers. And then as in the bass drums, those are the upbeats. Then the dynamic patch is basically the same as in the bass drum. All these crescendos and decrescendos. And the swells. Again in different layers. So the second configuration we have here with the Majestic Pro is the wireless mode. This is with all snares turned off, and by the way we have this snares off or wireless mode for every snare drum that allowed us to turn off the snares. And those wireless patches are sampled exactly, are recorded exactly the same way and with the same dynamics and round robins, etc. as the snare on patches. So you can simply copy a part or change the patch and with your already recorded MIDI part, and it will perform exactly the same way. For the third variation of this drum, we simply put on every wire and it's get a more fuller sound with much more high frequency energy. And then the fourth mode is with the third wire only, which gives quite another color compared to the other configurations. Now for the next example, let's listen to the Dresdner snare drum, which is a very rare instrument, I was told. Sounds a bit darker than the Majestic, but I think it really has a very, very nice sound to it. So let me play this back again, and now I will play around a little bit with the microphone positions here. I will turn on auto gain, so when I adjust one microphone, the others adjust themselves as well, so that the overall volume stays the same, and so we can very nicely morph between very close and a more ambient sound. Okay, so to also give you a visual overview of all the other snare drums we have in Berlin Percussion, let's take a look at some video footage from the actual recording sessions. What you're gonna see, and especially here now, are our session drummers improvising a little bit on a particular instrument to give you an impression how it actually looks, feels, and sounds. And finally, all snare drums stacked together. Let me add one other interesting feature of this library. All instruments are basically placed in different locations on the stage. Obviously in the area where the percussion instruments are usually located, but also those snare drums, one is more a little bit on the left, one is in the center, one is a little bit more on the right. So when you stack them together, you really get a great ensemble sound because they are not all in the same location. And this placement idea applies to most of the instruments in Berlin Percussion. So now let's move on to the toms. I've loaded the multi-patch here. We have a set of 4 concert toms, and they are also laid out in single patches. Let me show them here for you. But for more convenient playing, we've done a multi here, so you can basically have all 4 drums in one patch and you switch between 4 different sets of articulations. So the standard set with all the single hits and the upbeats, then an extended set. Here, for example, we have very nice sounding toms played with timpani mallets instead of sticks, and a set for the rolls and also for the dynamics. Now let's move on to the rototoms. This is a set of 6 drums, and again I have the multi here, and let me show you the the single patches up here. Again, the basic hits, extended set, rows, and also all of the dynamics. In the end, those were the upbeats, which are like on the snare and bass drums. We have doubles, triples, and quadruples. Okay, moving on to the Timbales. This is a set of 2 drums. For bongos, we have sampled 2 different sets. Let me play them back both to you with the same MIDI part. Again, for this instrument, it may be worth to mention the flexibility you got here with the microphones. So let me play that part with every microphone solo. So this mixer and all the recorded microphone positions really give you a lot of flexibility and options to choose and to create the sound you want to. By the way, this MS microphone here is actually a mid-side stereo configuration. So if you have a tool in your DAW to process that, to adjust the mid to the side, you can do this with this microphone position very, very easily. This configuration was used on many instruments, which might gain something from being spread over the stereo field, but you can also collapse this into a mid or mono sound. The spot microphones are always as close as useful to the instrument. Okay, now, so let's move on to the last instrument in this category, the congas. So this one is laid out a little bit differently because we have 3 instruments in this set. So there's a low, mid, and high conga. The standard single hits are on C0, C2 and C4, and then you have the rows up here, and all those other keys are like in the bongo sets, all the different hit positions on the instrument. So let me quickly play through them. And there were, of course, the upbeat and sforzando samples up here. So, to show you that in context, let me play this little conga part for you. Okay, those are all the drums of the Berlin Percussion main library. And now to round it all out, let's watch some more footage from the recording sessions with all the other drums that haven't been covered in the little snare drum montage.